Hi, I'm Karen from 24 Hour Bookkeeper. Why should you care about W9's? W9's are crucial to your relationship with your contractors. A W9 form is an IRS form that gathers information about your subs and vendors. It requires the subs and vendors to enter information such as their address, phone number, legal entity name, as well as their entity type. This is not a form that you actually send in to the IRS, but is super important to have completed and on file. So that's great. We know we need one, but how do we go about finding the form, who needs to complete it, and how they should fill it out? So let me start with who gets one. A good process you can incorporate is to request this form from all your subs and vendors, no matter what. This way you're covered. Typically, the reason we request this form is to gather their company information. And mostly, if we paid them $600 or more in one calendar year, we'd need to provide them with a 1099, and this form gives us the info that is required on the 1099. It's super easy to find the form online. Go to Google and type in W9 form in the search bar, and it should be one of the first results you see. Click on the one that is in PDF format. You'll notice that when you open it, there's actually a lot of pages, but the first page is really the only one that needs to be completed. So remember, this is not something you're gonna fill out, but your subs or vendors are gonna fill out. Just a little tip, it's always better to request the W9 form in advance or prior to submitting payment, because if you've already paid that vendor, it could be tough to receive the form back and you might be in a corner trying to get this information to process your 1099s. So let me show you how to fill it out. Once you've opened the form, you can print and mail it to your sub or save it and attach it to an email. I'm going to explain completing this form in case you get asked questions. Then at least you know what to say. It's really important that they complete all the fields for you. Otherwise, you might be unsuccessful in getting the right info for your 1099 form. So, in box number 1, you would ask them to put in their name. This would be if they had a personal name in which they were operating their business. If they have an actual business name or file under a different name, they would enter that in box number 2. For box number 3, you'll notice they have to complete their entity type. Now this can get kind of tricky for some because there's a lot of folks that are not really sure what their entity type is. So if they give you a form that's blank in this area, that's going to be a problem, and I'll tell you why. If they're a corporation, then you don't need to give them a 1099 at the end of the year. If they send you a form that's completely blank, you're not going to know if they're a corporation or not. You would give them a 1099 if they were an individual or sole proprietor, for example. For box 4, which is the exemptions to this form, you're going to have to refer to the instructions, which is actually on page 3. And by the way, everything I'm telling you is on those extra pages past the form. There's extra details above what I'm telling you, so you can also review that or have them read it to know how they should fill out the form. For 5 and 6, it's simply listing their address, city, state, and zip. And then if you wanted to add account numbers, that's also an option in box 7. All right, one of the big important parts is part 1, which is their taxpayer identification number. You're supposed to put in either a social security or an employer identification number, not both. It's likely and maybe typical that you'll have somebody fill out both areas, and when you go to enter the 1099 info, you won't be sure which number to use. The best way to know is if they checkmark the individual sole proprietor in box 3, then you would use their social security number. But if they checkmarked another box, then you would use their employer identification number. Again, super important to have this area completed. And lastly, part 2. This is where they certify that their information is true. Or in other words, they need to sign and date the form. It's obviously no good without that. Ideally, you only need to request it once a year. It would be a great business practice to request it at the beginning of every year so you're ready to go. Throughout the year, you would likely be requesting this if you're working with a sub or vendor for the first time. You can also request it on every new project if that's easier. You can store the form in, say, the job folder, but ideally you would put them in a vendor file. What does that really mean? It depends on what kind of application you're using or how you do your filing. I'd say if you're using a construction management software, there's usually a W9 field to upload it. If you're using something like Quickbooks, you can attach it to the vendor file as a document. You can also store them in your office in a file cabinet under either the vendor name or, like I said, if you want to use a job folder, that'd be fine too. It could get a little tough when you're storing it by job, just because you might be working with the same subcontractor on multiple projects, and it might get tough to find that doc when it's time to complete your 1099s. Thanks for watching this video. For more videos, make sure to click subscribe. You can also find more info on financial management by going to our website at 24hourbookkeeper.com, which can be found in the comments. See ya!